Hey.
Hey.
They say people who grew up in the Great Depression have trouble getting rid of stuff. If you grew up where my mother grew up in the southern Appalachian Mountains during the Great Depression, you don't get rid of dirt. My mother would sweep the house, take the dustbin out, and recycle the dirt in her flower bed. If you had asked my mother, what in the world is all that stuff in your house? She would have said, I collect things. And she did. She had the largest collection of empty plastic bread bags in the southeastern United States. She'd get down to that last heel in the loaf, take that out of the bag, take it over to the Frigidaire, open it up, put blackberry jelly down one side, spin her around, put butter on the other side, fold it together, put that in her teeth and take that bread bag out and empty the crumbs into her bird feeder. And then she would flatten that bag out over her aproned thigh and carry it down to her basement, where she had a 4x8 sheet of plywood sitting on 2 sawhorses. And she would carefully place that bread bag down on the top of 948,253, just like it. Neat stacks, evenly spaced, all about that high. Each stack held down with an empty parquet tub full of the twist ties that held the bread bag together. Now, when someone is the last one in a residence and they go on to their reward, and it's up to the family to go through their stuff before you put that sign in the yard, usually that's a good weekend. You get everybody in on Friday and you meet at Shoney's and you sit down and you make a plan and you say, all right, Mary, you stop at Bojangles in the morning, get everybody ham biscuits and coffee. The rest of us will meet at Mom's house. And then by Sunday night, you got 3 piles of stuff. Now, all the big stuff has already been decided because Mama said I could have that bedroom suite, right? But you got 3 stacks of stuff, one of them that you're gonna move out on the front porch that night because the Goodwill's gonna come by Monday morning and pick it up. Then you got that second stack of stuff that you're gonna divide up before you leave. And then that third one that you're gonna burn in the backyard before you leave tonight. In my case, that would have been all my report cards. My 3 brothers and our 4 wives went through my mother's house 17 weekends in a row. Oh, you know, normally you'd say things like, all right, 2 of you in the kitchen and 1 of you take that bedroom and you take the living room. We didn't take rooms. It would have been like a prison sentence. We just took pieces of furniture. There was so much. I went through the couch 2 weekends in a row and found enough change to put my brother's daughter through Appalachian State for a whole quarter. Well, this went on for, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, and we were starting to lose momentum, you know. And then somebody suggested, why don't we have a contest? Whoever finds the most ridiculous thing that anybody would keep, the rest of them have to buy them lunch at Shoney's down at exit 44 on I-40. So we started putting the names of stuff in a hat, and we would draw on Saturday morning, first thing, you know. Well, the first week, I drew mine, and it was like the closet in the hall, right? I knew I'd won because I found all the attachments to a Filter Queen vacuum cleaner that had died sometime in the late 1960s. I thought, you can't lose with that. But then my brother John squeaked by me because he found the hubcap to a Frazier automobile we'd never owned. It was full of buttons. Well, the next 3 weeks in a row, it was my brother Greg's wife, Tamara. Now, she is just retired. It's 30 years of teaching advanced chemistry and advanced biology to high school students. So you know what she's like. She's like this. And about the size of that microphone stand. 3 weeks in a row, she just bam, 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 free lunch, free lunch, free lunch. Finally, I was like, okay, let me draw first this week. So I drew first, and I went, strawberry pie right there. I knew I had won because I'd drawn the dining room hutch. And the reason I was so excited about that is the dining room hutch had 6 drawers in it. Now, y'all got that drawer at your house. I know you do. You probably we call ours the junk drawer. You know, that drawer that's just all that stuff well, I can probably tell you what's in yours. You got a ball of twine, a ruler, wait a minute, I'm getting something. Somebody in here's got a squirt gun without a stopper. Oh, and here, I bet everybody in here's got at least one of these. You know when you buy like nutcrackers and they come with 4 fingernail cleaners? I got dozens of them things, and I'm still cracking nuts with pliers. I don't know what it is, but anyway. The reason I was excited about drawing the hutch with 6 drawers is because all the drawers that my mother had were junk drawers, you know? So I went running in there to the dining room, and there was the hutch, and I was like 3 drawers about that big across the top, and then 3 bigger drawers under that, and I was like, holy, I forgot. There's 4 doors down there. There could be a motorcycle frame in there, you know? So I thought, well, I'll get, technical here. I'll just get me a plan, and I thought I'll start with the upper left, work my way across, and if I hadn't found it by then, I've got 3 more big drawers and the big doors down there. So now my mom had bought that hutch back in the 70s when those long twisted wrought iron pulls were really popular. She loved those, looked handcrafted. Well, I reached down and got them this way. And you could hear stuff in there going, I was going, oh man. It wasn't budging, so I got the other hand on it. Nobody was looking, so I just put 1 foot up on each side. I was leaning back on her like that. About that time, my brother John walked through and said, you learning to water ski? I said, why don't you go look for a hubcap full of something? He went off down in the basement, and about that time, the drawer came open, and the stuff just went. I went to the floor, I got up and looked, and right there it was on top of the stack. Half a toothpick. Oh, it gets better. You know, when you buy a ceiling fan and the string that you turn the fan on comes in a little Ziploc bag, swear to God, people right here in the church, the toothpick was in a Ziploc bag. I'm thinking presentation alone ought to get me there, Well, I just put it in my shirt pocket, and I was thinking, let's see, what am I going to have? Today I'll have the ½ pound of ground round, baked potato, and onion rings. Two orders of onion rings. And then I was right between the strawberry pie and that brownie with the ice cream and the on the top, waffling sort of back and forth on that one. Here she came, my sister-in-law Tamara, down the steps. And she looked at me and she said, do you realize you're talking to yourself? I said, yeah, I'm going over the Shoney's menu in my mind, trying to decide what I'm going to have for my free lunch. She said, what makes you think you've got free lunch? I said, honey, I can't lose. She said, why? I said, half a toothpick. She went, oh my goodness. Well, that's a winner. Yes, sir. Phew. Yes, sir. Any other Saturday? What? She said, any other Saturday, you couldn't lose with that. I said, what do you mean any other Saturday? She said, oh, let's just see how it turned. I said, what'd you draw? She said, the medicine cabinet. I said, yeah? What was in there? She wears those really tight little jeans, and she goes, bottom half of a thermometer tube. but I got the toothpick and the Ziploc bag. And she's like, listen. I said, what's in it? She said, a BB. I'm like, wait a minute, that's too close to call. We need to get a third party involved here, you know? Well, about that time, here comes John's wife, the sweet little Mary. She comes walking in, and I said, Mary, come here. Tell us, which one here? And she goes, oh my goodness. It's too close to call. I couldn't call that. No. Thank goodness I don't have to. What? I'm not sure either one of them will win. I said, what'd you draw? She said, your mother's closet. I said, yeah, what was in there? She said, 86 pocketbooks. I said, every woman in America's got at least 86 pocketbooks in some closet. I said, what was in them? She said, not a thing. I said, not a thing? She said, oh, well, there was this. And she pulled out a chapstick. And I said, really? She said, yep. I said, a chapstick. She said, looks like one, don't it? I said, I got 3 or 4 rolling around in the floor of my truck. She said, look at it. I said, honey, it's a blue and white plastic tube of chapstick. She said, open it. Huh? Open it. Honey, it's chapstick. She said, touch it. It had been refilled with Vaseline. What are you going to do, you know? So I'm standing there going, how in the world did this happen to me? And about that time, my brother John comes walking up the stairs out of the basement. He said, what's going on here? I said, your wife has just completely annihilated everybody here today. He said, really? What you got there? I said, show him. She showed him. He went, oh. He said, how about sharing free lunch with me, honey? And she said, no, it's my first time to win. I think I'm just going to enjoy my free lunch all by myself. And he said, actually, I was talking about you sharing my free lunch. I said, where were you? He said, oh, in Mom's sewing room. I said, yeah? What? He had on his Levi jacket, he stuck his hand in the pocket and went, shh, 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 shh. I said, all right, let's see it. What is it? And he pulled out one of those little Alka-Seltzer bottles. You remember the little short ones, blue label, blue cap twisted on it? He's going, shh, 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 shh. I said, all right, what's in it? He went, it's full of broken sewing machine needles. $37.50. I could just see my mother, you know, making an apron for her sister Asley for Christmas down there on the big Singer console, you know. She loved to sing while she sewed on the Singer. She was bringing in the sheaves, bringing in the sheaves, we shall come rejoicing. Darn it. It's like one day she thought, I'll be at the sink, washing greens, the doorbell will ring, I'll go to the door, open the door, there'll be a gypsy standing there who will say, good afternoon, madam, I was in the neighborhood repairing broken sewing machine needles. Now, 9 years ago this April, my wife and I bought a little place in the mountains of western North Carolina, and I remodeled the house, and as soon as the house was remodeled for Joan, I built myself a studio and a shop where I work on my motorcycles, and up on the second floor is where I do stories and songs. It's where I write magazine articles, whatever. And when I built it, I put my desk down, and there's a big picture window right in front of my desk that looks out over the mountains. That's my inspiration, as well as the only thing sitting on the windowsill, which is an Alka-Seltzer bottle with 37 and a half broken sewing machine needles. Because that's my mother. That's my mother sitting there on the windowsill going, write a good song, tell them about me, you know. Now, everybody in this room's got stuff like that at your house. I know you do. Stuff that means the world to you. And you probably want to leave that to somebody when you go on. But I tell you what, if you don't want it to wind up on eBay with a starting bid of 9 cents, when you give them whatever that treasure is, give them the story that goes with it. I wish I had my old truck back. The one I traded for this new Ford van. The radio didn't work and the windshield cracked, but the wheel just felt right in my hand. It took a 10-inch pair of vice grips to roll the driver's window up. But I miss that truck. I miss that truck. I've still got my first guitar, a pawn shop key and a cardboard case. It made me friends and it opened doors. With the first 3 chords I learned to play. That old guitar's what put me on this road when I was a kid. And I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did. Old things ain't always best. Sometimes it's best to go with new. But some old things become old friends, the kind you hate to lose. Old things are keys to memories, so keep the ones you can. Because the journey's where you're going, but it's also where you've been. Still got my high school yearbooks. Still got my glove from Little League. And at home I've got a picture of Catherine Tucker, Wyndham, and me. But the thing that means the most to me is my mama's wedding band. It's on my wife's left hand. I'm a lucky man. Old things ain't always best. Sometimes it's best to go with new. But some old things become old friends, the kind you hate to lose. Old things are keys to memories, so keep the ones you can. Cause the journey's where you're going, but it's also where